Okay, hey, my name is Matt, and I will be doing some entry-level React Native stuff today. We should be building a social media not a platform, just a profile, really. Um, go over some styles, go over all of the things. We're going to be using um, Expo to get this going. I don't have like a ton of experience with Expo. I tried it a couple times. But I'm more I more so use the CLI. Um, so if you're new to React Native, the difference between the CLI and Expo, for a while it was, well, I don't know about for a while, but what I remember is that folks like the documentation kind of put out that Expo was the easy way of doing it, and the CLI was the hard way of doing it, or the more complex. The reason for that is because Expo handles a lot of the configuration, the setup, the management of like the base of the project. Whereas with the CLI, you're in control of all of the things, which if you have the experience, can be beneficial. But Expo's made tremendous strides, and yeah, we're gonna play around with it. So, like I said, we're gonna get right into it, into Expo. So I'm gonna do Expo start new project. Let's go here. I would like to see the list of available templates. Yeah, I would love TypeScript. We're not gonna do any navigation here. Um, Social media profile. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, we're not going to do any navigation. I don't think. I mean, we're just not going to get to it in an hour and a half, in 2 hours. So we'll add it eventually. I've actually never used the Expo router, so I have no experience with that. So I'd like to figure that out a little bit behind the scenes first before I hop on here and try and help y'all. Now my understanding is that the Expo router, right? So for navigation, how you go from screen to screen, is similar to the router stuff with React. And I do have experience with Next.js, so I imagine it's similar. But I've used React navigation, for the past couple years, and I love it. So yeah. All right, so let me CD social media profile. Actually, open up VS Code. I love VS Code. VS Code has this handy. If you do, I have them on a Mac, but if you open up this, I don't know what this is called, like a command palette. I think that's what it is. I have on Mac, it's Command Shift P and install code. What that does is I can open up a terminal with Control Shift tilde, right? That little squiggly thing. Navigate to that folder that I just created. What I call it profile, social media profile, and then just do code dot. And then that's going to open up the VS Code for me. Very nice. Many ways. All right, sweet. So now we're here. So we got TypeScript going, which is cool. This is the app.tsx function. Think of it as like the entry point. When we run this social media profile app, the first screen that's going to be read from the magical system that is React Native will be the app.tsx, and we're going to start off by doing some development in this file, um, but eventually we'll move out of this, right? We don't want to stick with this here. So yeah, let me just go ahead and get started here. So I want to run the project. This uses package-lock.json. So we have these node modules. React Native is like a coding language, coding framework. I don't know the exact term, but it's one of those. And React Native uses a bunch of tools to allow for mobile development. Um, these tools are sometimes referred to as packages, node modules, dependencies. What else? I think that's really it. And maybe there's others, but yeah, we need to install these packages when it comes time to develop and run the application. When we install the packages, which I guess I'll use, the installed versions of those, they exist inside of package-lock.json. And it's just information about the version that we're using, and then any packages that tool might be dependent on, and then some other stuff which I honestly don't know. Now I'm going to delete this just because I always use yarn. So if I run the yarn command, it runs yarn install. There's also npm install, which is the same thing. npm and yarn are very similar in what they do. I don't know the exact differences, but I've been using yarn for quite a while. So what you'll notice over here is that there's a yarn.lock file that's created. It is, the other one was package-lock.json, right? So it's the same thing ish. That the .lock is the installed versions of the dependencies. Sweet. So we're good. Let's go ahead and get this running. How do I npx and expose start? Sweet. So that's going to run this. We could run this on our phone if we download the Expo app and take a screenshot of this. But what we're going to do is open the iOS simulator. I don't have the Android stuff on my my Mac, so I'm going to open up iOS. You'll see that opens up this this simulator. Oops. And I'm just going to bring this simulator into here so that I got them side by side. Sweet, 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 sweet. Okay, so this is our app, right? App.tsx. If I get up in here and change this, we can see that everything changes. If I keep going, you can see that it wraps around. So yeah, we're gonna work inside of this app.tsx file, this app function. Now you'll see export default function. I'm gonna change this up. I mean, you don't have to. I don't think for this video, for these sessions, feel free to do what you think makes sense, what works for you. But how I think I would find the most success in these sessions if I was in your position is if I just follow along, right? I'm going to record this. I am recording this, so I'll post it on Twitter, post it on YouTube afterwards, so you can go back and pick up on the small things. I know I do talk fast, but yeah, I think yeah, just watching, paying attention, following along, and then revisiting later would be good. So yeah, I guess I'll just leave this at this for now. So we have a couple components at the top. We have a status bar, which we don't we don't need. So if I remove this, what you'll see is this up here disappear. Oh, I guess that's not the status bar. I thought it was. All right, sorry, I won't get into that. But we have this, we have the text, like I said, it changes. We have the view, so we can get rid of the status bar up here. We have style sheet, we have text, and we have view. So with view, you can think of view as a like a container, if you will, or box. A view component is given to us from React Native by React Native. And it's what allows us to group things together, right? So you can, if you're looking at VS Code, you can think of this middle box here, this like light gray box or faded black box, as one view. This column over here is another view. This sidebar is a view within this side column, right? So it's just a way to group things, position things, style things, that are meant to stick together and move around the screen together. Then you have text, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a way to put text in between text on the screen. The actual text, right, the strings, they have to exist within a text component, right? So if I remove this, you can see that we have an opening bracket, we have a closing bracket. It has to exist inside of it. If I were to try and do it outside, it would yell at me saying that text strings must be rendered within a text component. If we're reading the error message, we can see the error is located at in RCT view created by view. Now, these are a little tricky to debug. What you're really looking for is just a file name that you have created. In this case, we have app.tsx. Now, we didn't create app.tsx, but we know we're working inside of app.tsx. So these error messages aren't always that helpful, but these aren't always that helpful either. But try and make do with what you got. But yeah, that's what's yelling at us there. So yeah. Okay, so like I said, we want to do a social media profile. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get that going. So I do want to not mimic Twitter, but kind of do something similar with its profile. Let me see. You see how Twitter has like it's my photo here. We have the name, the username, and then a bio. We're gonna kind of work with this. Instead of having all this stuff below, we're not gonna do like a banner image. We're just gonna move the profile stuff over there. So what I want to do is actually, Command Z, put this back, because this is going to highlight this little safe area. So the text, if we don't specify any position for the text, it's going to go up and to the left, as far up and to the left as it can. And in this case, that's an issue because we have this area up here with things that are in our way. This top part is considered a safe area. So is it down here, right? This little notch here, we don't want, pretty sure it's called a notch. We don't want something to go behind that, or at least go and stay behind it. We don't care if stuff rolls. Some people do, but I don't care if stuff scrolls behind it. But we don't want stuff to scroll behind and stay there because then it's blocked, right? So the view is blocked. So yeah. Yep. So now we need to, the question is, okay, how do we get rid of this stuff? Or how do we move around this top notch? React Native has this component called SafeAreaView, right? So if I take away safe area, it's just view. So it's just a view that is aware of the safe area. Again, this is provided from React Native, so nothing fancy that I'm creating. So remember that a view is a container, so it's just a container that's aware of the safe area. When I press that, you'll see that it goes down now. So yeah, SafeAreaView is very helpful. There is an external package that I use, SafeArea. What is it called? React Native SafeAreaView context. I don't want Expo. I think it's this one. Yeah, this is the one that I use on the day-to-day. It's just a wrapper around. When I say wrapper, it has like the safe area view as like its root, but then it's put some fancy things around it to make it a bit more customizable. So yeah, we have this container here. What I can do, right? So styles. So each of these components have a style property. If you're unfamiliar, property, my first name property is Matt. My last name property is Ruiz. And there's many other properties. I have my hair color is brown. My height is 6'8". No, I'm just kidding. 5'8". But yeah, that's these components have properties on them. And in this case, we have style. So if you're familiar with like React Dev, it's class name. is something, is the equivalent on web. And we'll do React stuff in the future, but you know, we'll start with the React Native. We'll start slow and build up as needed. Inside of this style property, it expects an object, right? So I'm a person object. First name is the property. Last name is a property. Home address is a property. Inside of that home address, there's an additional property of street, at least in the US, street 1, which is like 123 West Street, apartment 2, and then obviously state, city, and zip code, postal code. So this style property accepts in an object one of those, and inside of that object has a property called background color, which we can just make red. And we can see that the safe area as a whole is red. Now, if I were to get rid of, comment this out, for me on Mac, it's command /. We can see that the safe area is pushed up, or the height of the safe area is reduced. That's because by default, these containers, right? So these views, in this case, the safe area view, the height of these views expands only as much as it's needed, right? And in this case, it's needed it needs 1 extra line, 2 extra lines, 3 extra lines, etc. But what we want to do is stretch it the entire width of the screen. So we want to give it a height of 100%. So just make it as tall as it can. And in this case, we can see it passes all the way down. Now I have styles here. The styles are inside of they are considered inline styles. So they're in line with the UI components, the safe area view, the text. What's better is to move this away. Move this into its own little space down here, and just reference it like we would with other objects and stuff like that. All right, so now we can see that we're getting yelled at. The reason we're getting yelled at is because we haven't provided a value here. All right, so JSX is, I'll be honest, I don't know 100% what JSX does. Yeah, I don't know exactly what JSX does, but which is funny because I've been working for quite a while with React Native, but I'm pretty sure it just takes the code that we're writing in JavaScript and React Native and makes it and converts it to a native language such as Swift, Objective-C, right? Native iOS, Java, Kotlin on the Android side. JSX uses these components, right? These safe area view, these text components, to do that conversion and the handling of different data types. This safe area view has a style property, and it expects something, a value in there. We're just not providing it value, so that's all that's yelling at us for. So we got styles.container. So styles, we're defining it locally. Style sheet is one of those tools that React Native provides us to create these style sheets, right? A style sheet is just a place where we specify how fancy things should be, what position things should be in, and all of that. Style sheet has a .create property, which accepts in an object. I remember an object has key value pairs, person object, first name, last name, and all that stuff. In our case, this object has a container, which is our root view, if you will. This root view has a background color of red and a height of 100%. So yeah, so that's how we declare styles with React Native. Like I said, you could keep it inline. I mean, that's one of the first things that folks tell junior developers is that it shouldn't be inline. And I believe that as well. Okay, so now we're here. We can get rid of this red piece. We don't want that. What we want to do now is work on this social media profile. So what we're going to do is have like an image here, and then some let's say a name, a username, and the bio. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we got, so what we're going to do first is create these two columns, right? If we think about this, we have a column on the left, which has the profile image, and then we have a column on the right, which is bigger in terms of width, and it has all the text information. So let's go ahead and do that. And these columns exist in like a top part of the profile, right? The header, if you will, the top info, whatever you want to call it. Underneath, we'll do stuff. I don't know what we'll do for the social media profile, like images, activity, likes, achievements might be fun. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So let's go ahead and create that top header first. So I like to position things before I get into the specifics. And what we know is at the top of this profile, we will have this section. Right, so let's go ahead and create this section or container. So view, and I'll do text, profile photo, just a placeholder. We can see that profile photo is there. Let's go ahead and add a style. We'll call this styles.header info. I'll just say top info, which is probably a bad name, but I don't want to do header because we often have like a header up here that has like, like a back button and all that stuff. So yeah, we don't want to do that for now. That's the preference that I have because we do. So what I'm going to do down here is top info. And I'm going to give this a height of, let's say 150 and a width. I'm going to give it a background color of, we'll do red again. We can see that it just by default takes up the entire width, which is interesting. I didn't think that it was going to do that. I don't know why it's doing that, but it looks like it took up the entire width of the screen, which is nice. So now we have this top header section. What we want to do is break this up into the columns that are needed. And then once we do that, we can get into each of these columns and do the things. So what I'm going to do is do another view, and I'm going to make it a self-closing tag. So there's going to be nothing in between this at the moment. What I'm going to do is do styles.photo image container. I'm just do image column. And then I'm going to copy this. Just go all the way over. Replace this. Then we have image column. What I want instead is user info column. So yeah. And then nothing changes. You don't see anything here. But what if I do image column, height 100%. And if I were to ask you, what the height of this image column is, the value that answer would be 150, right? Because image column exists within top info. So it just takes up the max amount of height inside of that top info, which is 150, right? If I were to, and I guess let me go ahead and specify a width here. I'm going to do 35%. Right, so the width is 35% of the screen. And I'm going to give it a background color of orange. And we can see, there it is. So if I were to do height of 130, 140, you can see that the height no longer matches, right? So the height is 100% of the container, which is 150. So now we have this user info column. I'm going to try and stay away from using Copilot. I guess we can just use it for the most part. We have a height 100%. We have a width of 65%, which is just the opposite of that. And then we have a background color of yellow. What you'll see is that this orange and this yellow are now on top of each other. That's the default behavior of React Native, is to put things, maybe just development in general, is to put one thing, read from top down, and then just put that, mimic that inside of the UI. So what we need to do is put these two things next to each other. Now we could manually position this next to this orange piece, but there's definitely an easier way to do this. And that is by looking at the parent of this orange and yellow, right? Because these two components are siblings. If you look at these two views, they exist in the same indentation level. So therefore they are considered children. Now, like I could do this, and that doesn't mean that these two are siblings with this one. But if your code is formatted, that's why lint is great. Give you an idea of like what are the siblings, right? So when working with siblings and you want to position these siblings in a certain orientation, whether that is in a column form, which is the default, or a row format, you got to look to its parent. And in this case, the parent is top info, right? The parent encases these two children. So I'm going to top info, and then what I'm going to do is use flex direction row, and then that's going to put these two things in a row and put them next to each other. Now, flex direction by default is column. So if I remove it, it's the same thing. But like I said, we do want flex direction row. So flex direction row it's probably, besides height, width, and background color, I think flex direction row is definitely top 5 of the most styles that I've most used styles that I have. And yeah, so what I would take a little second here, if you are not familiar with flex, right? So flex is a way to move things across the screen. Like if I want to move this frog across the screen, I would do flex end like this, and we can see that it moves over. I would highly recommend that you run through these 24 exercises however often you need to really grasp flex and Flexbox, like just the flex system that React and React Native use. When it comes to styling and front end work, this is everything, right? Moving things to the center of a box, making text left align, moving items left to the left of the box, moving items to the right of the box, right? Just imagine trying to move, these things all over. Being able to do that is important and is a super common task. So getting ahead of it is something, like I said, I can't recommend enough. I ran through this a couple of times when I first started dev, and it's been a ton of help. So like I said, if you're new, you don't quite feel like you got Flexbox. If you're not new, new developer, but you're new to the front end, or you got serious chops on the front end, I would recommend that you check this out. Just try and see if you can do it. I'm sure you can. I'm sure everybody can. But try and see if it's easy or whatever. But it just it's free. This game, if you will, just helps you move things across the screen. It works with many different types of frogs in many different locations. It takes order into consideration, which I never use, but yeah, you can see the order, and this is React focus, right? So if you're this tutorial, this episode, this stream is for React Native. But if you work on this, it's for React. So it's a little bit different, right? If you're familiar with React looks like this. It does the camel case. So React Native uses the camel case, whereas React and just the web, not really React, but just the web, uses this dash format for that stuff. So highly recommend. You'll see that again. I'll bring it up again. So yeah. Now we have flex direction row. So now we have the orientation of our top profile section working. Let's go ahead, and I'm not going to use an image. I forgot to download one before this, and I don't want to go and find an image, download, put it inside of here, and do all the things. At least not for now. So I'm going to mimic a profile photo as just a big blue circle. So we have this image column here, which is self-closing tag, right? It's just a box at this point, but there's nothing inside of the box. So to do that, we have to, it's called opening the tag. I think it's, yeah, /first. And then I'm going to put some space in between. And then if I just do a text, you can see the text is image. But I'm going to, like I said, mimic a profile photo using the view tag and do styles.profile photo. I'm just do photo. We don't really need the word profile in our styles because we're on the profile, right? Imagine that this says app right now. Well, like I said, we'll change this, but imagine that this said profile photo or profile. So yeah, I guess that's relevant. But we'll do photo here. Come down to here, do photo. What I'm going to do is height is 100, width is 100, background color is blue. We can see it's a box. And we don't want a box. You know, profile photos are typically rounded. Right? If I go, there's a Twitter, right? It's always rounded. So let's go ahead and do that. How we round boxes is with a border radius. I might butcher this, but how border radius works is go to the corner of your view. How far should we go over on each side, on each axis? So go over to the X, go over to the Y, and then what magically does it? I don't know how it does it, but you know, coding the front end systems, what they do is they then curve the line between those 2 points, right? So if I do 10, you'll see that's a nice little curve, right? Go over 10 pixels, go up 10 pixels. And we can see, you know, if we eye it, we can see that, you know, 10 is about 10% of that. So it's, you know, a nice little curve. Now, if I do 50, what that's going to do is going to go into the middle, right? Because the width and the height are 100. It's going to into the middle here, into the middle here, and then it's going to create a big curve, which ultimately makes a circle, right? So pretty straightforward. Border radius. When you're working with boxes, it's, you know, you're typically doing 10. 10's a little much, depending on the size of the box. You might do 5. I guess you might do whatever you want. So, yeah, then we got 50, which makes it a circle. Then we got to think about, you know, how do we center this profile photo in this box here? This is where Flexbox Froggy comes into play. It's very helpful. So yeah, but the question is what component here is in charge of centering this photo, right? It's always the parent. Not always the parent, but for the most part, it's the parent. So in this case, image column, this view, this container, is in charge of the positioning of the initial positioning, like where this view starts. Image column is in control of. Now we can go into this photo view container and make changes to adjust its position later, but its starting point is dependent on the image column. So let's go ahead and center this blue component. So I'm going to do justify content center, and I'm going to do align items center. We'll see that it's in the middle. So let's take away align items for now. So by default, the justify content style attribute property cares about the y-axis, right? The vertical axis. In this case, we're saying take me to the center of that y-axis. There are some other values, such as flex start, which puts me in the beginning of the y-axis. And then there's also flex end, which puts me at the end of the y-axis. There are some other things which we'll get to in the future as needed, but yeah, for right now, we just need center. Justify content is center. Now for align items, it's the same exact concept, but now on the y-axis. So we can do center, we can do flex start, which takes us to the front on the x-axis, and flex end does what you think it does, moves it to the end. But like I said, we just want center for justify content and align items. The behavior of justify content and align items does switch. Based on this value, but we won't talk about that for now, until we get to that point. Okay, sweet. So we have our photo here. Oh, we have our photo here that's centered vertically, horizontally. Let's go ahead and add some text here. All right, so we have user info column, right, which is this yellow section. Let's open this up. Let's open this up and we'll just, add some text here. We got username, location, joined. We don't want these. What we want is Matthew Rees at Chooch. And then we're going to do a bio here. So leading, I'm going to do my Twitter one because it's long. And we might, House Tech, make these at symbols links in the future. It's probably cool. Pencil, at amp links, and at pocket, caddy, AI, TTP. And then I'm going to open up this text so that we can just read it a little bit better. We can get rid of this side panel and this bottom panel. Sorry about that. Maybe it's a little small on the screen. Should I? Yeah, let's do that. Tech teams at Trout House Tech. It's not going to change the spacing over here, right? I put this on a new line. You may wonder if it puts it on a new line. That's not the case there. Sweet. So that's that. Now let's go ahead and, I would like to center, like vertically center these things here. So, how would I do that? I would go to the parent here, and I would do justify content center. That's going to take the information and put it in the middle of our screen here. I think this is as big as I can get over here. Sweet. So now we have this text component. I'm going to add some style to it. Styles.name. Styles.username. Styles.bio. All right, so those are our three things. It's not going to get any errors. It's yelling at us here, but when it comes to actually, this would be runtime errors, yeah. So we got name, we got username, and we got bio. So for name, let's do font size. See what this does. I don't like the bold too much. I do like 500 though. All right, because that's 500. That's bold. Bold's just a little much. So we got 500. 500. We got the username, which I don't know that we need it to be. I mean, we can see what 400 does. I would like it to be font style is italic. I would like it to be a little fancy. And then we have the bio. So the bio should definitely be smaller. I think the default is 14. So maybe we should do something like 13. And the image is huge. So maybe what we should do is reduce the image size. So let's do 30, 70. Yeah, I think we should reduce the image down to like 80. Border radius of 40. Maybe it's a little bit better. This is just huge. Now, if Twitter does have the entire screen, yeah, Twitter does have the entire screen, like the width here, because it does the bios down here. But I think we can make do here. So we got some spacing here. Yeah, I think we can even do this more. 75, 25. I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's good. So now you'll notice that this is pushed up to the left of here. I don't think that's bad because we have this extra space here. So we can just leave our text hugged up across on the side here. Yeah. Sweet. So I do want a little bit of space in between these things though. Like I would like the name and the, let's see, maybe we don't. All right, let me get rid of these colors. Sorry. Sweet. So we got rid of the names, the colors, so we can see now that there is a bunch more space in between. Let's add a little bit of spacing to the top of this function here. So yeah, well, not this function, this text component. So we got leading, where is it? Bio, we're going to add some margin to the top of bio. Too much. 5's good. And that is, I guess, the first part of our profile here. This uses, so I'm trying to think here, what should I go from this? I should probably go to some fake data and talk about how we can import this data instead of having this hard-coded. So I guess let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is create a folder, call it source. Inside of this folder, I'm going to do data, another folder, and I'm going to do users.ts. And I'm going to do export constant users equals, we're here. And what I want to do is use TypeScript, to our advantage, and declare a type for this, so that we know that we have to provide certain values. Like we don't want a user without a first name. We don't want a user without a username. So we should require that it's there. So typically that's defined in like a model file or a model folder. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we have source data. What I'm going to also do is model. And then inside of the model, I'm going to do user.ts. Then what I'm going to do is export type user is this. And remember the user property that we talked about, which is, me. I have a first name, got a last name, I got all the things. All right, so what I'm going to do here is first name. We're going to give this a type of string to say that, the user dot first name is going to be some text. We're going to have a last name. We will have a username, same thing, will be a string. And then we will have a bio, same thing, a string. So yeah. So now we have this user type. What we can do is come over here, add a colon, and do user. And we can see that it imported it for us, saying, imported the user type for us. Afterwards, after this user, I'm going to do some brackets. And what this says is that the users constant here, the value here, is going to be a list of users. So it's going to be more than one user. So remember that a user is just an object. I'm just an object with a property of first name, last name, all of those things. What I'm going to do is first name, Matthew Ruiz. Oh, that's not it. Last name is Ruiz. Username is Chooch. Bio is what we had before, which is this. And we'll have to change this actually in the future because we want to allow for these @ symbols. But we will do that at another point. Okay, sweet. So we got the user. What I'm going to do is go to app.tsx, and we're definitely not going to use this user list in the future, right? Because the profile is about me, so we should store information about me in a certain place. So so what I'm going to do is grab that user. So I'm going to do const my user equals users sub 0. And if I console.log my user, what we can see if I do Command J, actually, nope, that was Control J. Command J is my users down here with all that information. Console.log is your friend, 100%. I would recommend that you over console.log, so much so that some console.logs make it into the PRs that you have, and someone is commenting, doing PR review and saying, hey, can you please take out this console.log? That's a super simple task to do, but it signals that you're at least using console.log. Development is all about knowing the data that you're working with. What form is the data in? What stage of its life cycle is the data in? That is super important. TypeScript helps with that. That's why I like TypeScript, is because it helps my brain through that data lifecycle process, the lifecycle of just your code, your components, and all of the things. Console.log, use it a ton, make it a habit for sure. So in this case, my user is a variable that we're declaring inside of the app component, and we're giving it a value of users index 0, right? So users is a list with index of 0 equaling this object, right? So this my user is equal to all of this information, which we can see down here. So instead of hard coding these values, what I'm going to do is do my user dot first name. Now we can see that doesn't actually work, right? It's just text at this point. So what we got to do is wrap this text inside of curly brackets, and these curly brackets put us in like a JavaScript context, and it allows us to call things that are outside of this return statement. So we have my user dot first name, give it a space, and do my user dot last name, and there it is, right? So we got the same values. So I'm going to go back to here. Okay, the username, I want to make sure that the @ symbol wasn't part of the username. Oops. My user dot username. Same thing there. And then bio, this is where we're going to see the biggest benefit is, and like I said, I don't know that. We'll have to figure it out later, but yeah. In terms of like the username, clickable, and all that stuff. So we're going to do my user dot bio, and we're still good. Right, so that's how you use dynamic data. And I like to do some unnecessary comments maybe, but photo column. User info column, just for, as someone who's grazing this file later on or reviewing it, just being able to see the column, just some comment saying, hey, this is what this section's for, I think is very helpful. Can be very helpful. So yeah, another thing, if take a look at these styles, right? Imagine that, we just had all of this info inside of here. See photo, copy this. All right, this is super messy. Like trying to figure out what is going on. Like I could even take it further. Be a little bit extra right now. Trying to graze this for the first time, figure out what is going on. It's so hard to know what's going on. It's so hard to just know that this is a blue circle inside of this view. Whereas if we just have these these local style sheets, and we're just referencing them and giving them value, like meaningful names, we can just get a better understanding of what's going on before we look at the styles and the little things about it. So yeah, sweet. So that's the profile. Trying to see what else. I mean, I think that's good. That's good for now. Sweet. sweet, sweet, sweet. So yeah, let's I guess keep going below this, and we'll work on adding maybe some previous messages. I guess we'll do something similar to Twitter. So yeah. Okay. 1 second. Oh, excuse me. Cool. Cool. So I think at this point we should extract out this file. So we're in app.tsx, which is like the entry point. You don't really want to do development in here, but I didn't want to extract out stuff before necessary. But let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is do a new folder, screens. And again, this is, I just want to highlight that this is all just the decisions that I made about like file structure and component structure and how we're doing things. It's just my preference. It's just what we found success with at THT and the teams that we're helping we work with over the past couple years. So feel free to do things as you like to do them. Would love to know how you do things. But like I said, we've got a system that has yielded some results. It wasn't always this way, but yeah. So we have screens here. What I'm going to do is do a new folder inside of here and call it profile, because we'll have a profile tab on this. I don't know how far we'll build out this social media thing, but imagine a social media app, right? Like Twitter has the tabs at the bottom. We'll do something similar to that, and we might just do a profile tab here. Okay. Sweet. So let's go ahead and inside of this profile folder, we're going to create a profile.tsx. We could do index. I don't like the whole index stuff. So yeah. So what I'm going to do is just go to our app.tsx, copy all of it, and move it over to here. And we can see that this import is now messed up, right? Because previously we were way out here in the folder structure, but now we're way in here. So we'll have to import that. Go back. What are we doing? We're doing data/users. There we go. Cool. Now what I want to do is change up the name, right? We don't want the name of this function to be profile to app. We want it to be profile. And you'll see that we have export default function. What I'm going to do instead is do const profile equals this. Let me do this first, actually. And we're going to do const profile equals this. So these two things, let me do export default profile. These two things, right? So if I close this function signature export default function profile, close parentheses, opening bracket, is the same. It equals the same thing as const profile equals parentheses, arrow, curly bracket, export default profile. It's the same exact thing, just two different ways of doing it. I don't like working with the function like this setup. I like working with this setup. So that's what, like I said, that's one of those preferences that I have. So we got profile here, export default profile. What we're going to do is inside of here, we're going to do profile, as you can see, is imported there. And there we go. Nothing's really changed. Now, because we have SafeAreaView outside of here, right, in this case, we have SafeAreaView in the root app file. This file has one component profile. If I remove that, it's no longer there. So now that we have the SafeAreaView on the outside, we don't need it here on the inside. We can just do a regular view. Now, as you see, it doesn't change anything. It just, it's just a different way to do it. So what that means is that inside of app.tsx, we can get rid of a lot of stuff here. So the only styles that we have is containers, so we can get rid of all this stuff. Very cool. And same thing, I'm going to do const app. export default app. There we go. We can get rid of this up here. Get rid of this up here, and we're good. So the app, when the app is loaded, we have the app.tsx is the first file that it goes to. Inside of this file, we're saying stay away from the bad zones, right? The safe areas. Anything that is a child of the safe area view should not interact, not fall behind these safe areas. In this case, we have one child, which is profile. Profile is a component that we've declared inside of the source screens profile component, or the profile folder. This is a component that we are declaring and exporting as a default. So I'll get to something else later. Inside of this profile, we have one parent component, or one parent view, which is the container, which is just spreading the entire height of the safe area view. So if I do background color red, same thing as before, but now we can see that the view no longer contains the safe area view, right? This red is outside of those bounds. Whereas if we're in here and I do background color black, that takes up the entire screen, including the safe area view. If I go back to profile now and remove red, everything is now black, right? So adding different layers of background colors helps, or just, helps, change things if that's what you want. So what did I just remove? Oh. Didn't I just remove something? No. Sweet. Okay. So we have profile here. This is the profile info. What I'm going to do here is, so again, this is my preference. I like to also create a components folder here. And these components pertain to only the profile, right? So we'll also have a components folder up here, which is stuff for like our header. We have like a utility spacing component that we use. If we do like a reusable text input, or like a number display, then we'll add them here. But these components only pertain to the profile. So, I would much rather just keep it into there. I think people use like a features folder or something like that. I forget. I forget, but yeah. So what I want to do is move this to, we can just wait on that. So I'll take out this components folder, and yeah, I'll just keep going. So we have the top info, which is user info header. Underneath, what we want is a previous posts. And yeah, let's just go ahead and create a list of these posts. So what I'm going to do is a view, and I'm going to give this a styles.posts. And I'll go down here and I'll do we have container? We do. Height is 100%. Background color green. There we go. And yeah, let's go ahead and do our, so I'm gonna do pink instead because it's lighter. What I want to do is another view, and this is going to be styles.post. And we could do just text post 1. We can see that the text is there. Let's give some styles to this post. What we're going to do is height is, let's say 60, width is equal to, I don't think 100%. Let's do like 80%. Background color is green. We can do yellow is tough on the eye. We'll do orange. And I think we'll do, instead of 80%, let's do 90%. Now we don't want our post to look like this, right? Because imagine if I had, many different posts are just lumped together. So what I want to do is add some spacing to the top of this. So I'll do margin top is 10, and we see that there's now space in between. What we now want is to horizontally align these items. What I would do, I think I can do align self center. That works, which is a new property, which I'll hide for now. But then we can also do align items center, and that does the same thing. I would say doing align items center is better, because the list is controlling where each of the posts start, and I think that's more consistent and manageable than the post itself being in charge of where it starts. So yeah, let's go with align items. We'll move that to the center. And now we have these orange, but we got these like pointy edges here, right? So remember that border radius. We could do 10 here. We got a nice little card system here. So yeah, and we'll just follow this Twitter kind of UI for now. I didn't really plan anything out for the structure of these cards. So yeah. But what I'm going to do right now, though, is extract this out because our styles are getting very long for this profile, which is fine. But I think we can, I know we can do better. So what I'm going to do is go back to this folder structure. Inside of profile, do components, and then actually, yeah, this is one that shouldn't exist here, so bad example. Let's go to source. Let's add a component. Components, and then let's add a post card.tsx. Right, so remember source / components is different from source screens profile components. If I were to add a components folder here, this would be for components that are only pertain to this folder, which right now has one file, but it might have more than one file. Components up here pertain to are used in different portions of the app. If you think about a social media app, right, you can find posts, really in many different tabs, right? If we're looking at Twitter, we got the profile that I'm on, we got the home page. We got the home page, we got all that stuff, right? Many different positions from the bookmarks and all that stuff. So this is a component that is reused in a bunch of different places. Okay. So inside, we can get rid of this. Inside of postcard, what we're going to do is export const postcard. Here's an empty string, not an empty string, sorry. It doesn't take any properties. We're going to set some default UI for this. View. We're going to do const styles equals style sheet. The one here from React Native .create. We have a chance to do a new container, and we're going to use styles.container, and what we're gonna do is go to profile. We got posts. We don't want posts. We want posts. This is what we want. So we're going to copy all this over. And yeah. Then what we're going to do up here is change something. So I'm going to go back to data. I'm going to create a new file for posts.ts, export const posts, right? And what we want is this. But it's going to yell at us saying that can't find the name post. We can't import it from anywhere. That's because inside a model, we need to create that. So post.ts, export type post equals this. We have a user, which is going to be the string, which will be like an ID for that user. So what I'm going to do here is go back to users, sorry, and put an ID here. So we need some way to just like, identify this user by a unique value. So then users, I'm going to go in here and do a user. I mean, I guess we could just use username. Nah, let's do this. Let's just do this. We'll give it an ID of 1. We'll have to, in the future, we'll generate a random ID. We'll use Firebase for this. We'll generate a random ID and use that instead. We don't want to use the username as a unique ID. It should be unique across users for the platform, but we don't want to use it as the unique identifier, because what if they change their username? Right? There's always a feature request of being able to change your email, change your username. So it doesn't really make sense to use that as a unique identifier for your data. You should always have like a random ID generated in a secure way for whatever server database that you are using. Okay. Let's see. So we got this. Let's see. 1 second. That's good. Okay, so that is set up for the user. We'll go back to post. The user is going to be the user.id, right? That's going to be a foreign key, if you will, primary key. I think a foreign key. I think this is the primary key for user. I think that's the term. This is a foreign key on the post type, post model, that points to the user primary key, which is .id. Pretty sure that's how it goes. So we got user, we got text, which is a string. We have created date, which is going to be a number. And I think that's all we need. We do want a post. We do want an ID for the post as well. And I think this is it for now. That's all we need. We'll expand this out as we go. Sweet. So what we want to do is, have all of this info. Let's go ahead and actually create some posts. Sorry, I forgot that part. So I'm going to go ahead and now import the post. We're going to have, maybe this fills it in for us. ID post A. User is going to be 1. I'm going to do user 1. I'm going to go over here, user 1. Go back to here, user 1. Text is going to be, this is my first post, created date. It's going to be date.now. That's good. Let's do a couple posts. Post B, user 2. We do user 1 as well. This is my second post. We're going to do minus, let's see, 60, 1, 2, 3. I think this is a minute. Let's see, milliseconds. Milliseconds to hours. So we want 60. So let's see, 1 hour is what? Oh, it's 360. Okay, so this is 1 hour. So I'll do const milliseconds. Very cool. Minus milliseconds in an hour. So minus 1 hour is what we'll do for this post. Sweet. So now we have multiple posts. So we'll want to display those. Cool. So yeah, now we want to display these posts here. What I can do, let's see, I'm trying to think of how I should do this. So we can get rid of these for now. We have postcard. I'll leave this, get rid of this, get rid of this. Okay, so now for this profile, we need to grab the posts for this user. So const posts for user equals, we're just going to do posts for now. We'll worry about filtering later, but we got posts for user. Then what we want to do is, this is going to be a list. There's going to be many different posts. We want to loop through these lists and display them. So I'm going to get rid of these for now. Come up here. I'm going to do the curly brackets, right? So curly brackets, it gives us access to JavaScript. It allows us to access JavaScript. So what we're going to do is post for user dot map. There's also for each. I don't know the specific difference, or like when you're supposed to use one or the other. I always go map. I think I just like it better. It looks better. So we're going to loop through these lists of posts and call each iteration of the loop a post. And yeah, we're going to open up curly bracket. Then we're going to do is return exactly what this says, styles.post, post.text. And we can see that we just moved this over to here. It's just that instead of hard coding the word post, we have we're dynamically using the post.text value, just like we're doing up here with my user. We're using the .first name, .last name, .username, .bio property. Now we're getting yelled at here, which is saying each child in a list should have a unique key prop. So this is a list, right? This set of curly brackets and everything inside of it is being treated as a list. Each of these values inside of here are a list item. We need a unique identifier for each list item so that React Native knows when to re-render or like redraw that component. That key should be unique across each of the posts in this case. And if the key changes, then it will be redrawn. Now that alone can cause some issues. There's definitely, in a real world scenario, we need to tweak the key a bunch and make it more exhaustive of information to ensure that it does update. But for at least the foreseeable future, we will keep it very simple. And we do that by providing a key property. And what we'll do for this is post.id, right? So the ID of each post is going to be unique. So we don't have to worry about there being an ID that's replicated across many posts. So when I press that, we can see that we're no longer getting yelled at anymore. I'll just clear the terminal. So yeah, this is my first post. This is my second post. So again, we don't want to keep the styles in here. We want to extract out this. We did extract out this post into its own card. So let's go ahead and call this card inside of the profile. So we'll replace this with post card, and we can see that there we go. There is our post stuff. So we can simplify this a little bit. I guess we'll get there in a second. But now we see that this postcard doesn't have any information. We can see that because this is faded, it's not used, right? Its post is declared, but its value is never read. What we want to do is pass this information to this card so that the card has information to work with. How we're going to do that is by providing some properties to this postcard. Say, hey, draw me a postcard with this information, right? The information that we're going to provide, we're going to declare up here. And again, this is all because of TypeScript. We have to do this because we don't have to, but we're doing this because of TypeScript. And it just helps. It helps a ton. So we're going to pass one property. We're going to pass an object to postcard. We're going to pass one property, and we're going to call it a post. And this is going to be of type post. Then what we're going to do is inside of here, do props. Right. So what this means is we're going to pass postcard an object. We're going to call that object props, and that object is going to have one property called post. All right, now we're going to access that. We'll just leave it at that for now. Then what I can do down here is do text. Oh, there's nothing to be. Yeah, it's a text. Text. What we're going to do is do props.post.text. Postcard. Now we can see that we're getting yelled at because it's saying props.post.text. Something is undefined. So cannot read property text of undefined. The property text, where does this property exist? This property exists inside of post. So what this is saying is that you're trying to access the .text property of an undefined value. In this case, post is undefined. That just means we haven't provided a value to it. And that's what's causing the issue. And if you go back to here, we can see that we're not providing any values to postcard. We're just calling it by itself. So what we need to do is call post to be post. And now we can see we stop getting yelled at here. Sweet. Cool. So now what we can do is, let's see, I think we're still getting yelled at for that key. We should be getting yelled at for that key. For not having a key. Yeah, we no longer have a key here. So I don't know why we're not getting yelled at. Let me try and refresh. There we go. Yeah, so each child in a list should have a unique key prop. Back up to here, we're going to do the same thing that we did before with key equals post.id. And if I remove this, get rid of this, and save, you'll see that we no longer get that error. All right, so now everything is good. Sweet. And we can simplify this a little bit by removing all this stuff and doing postcard. We can even go further and just do postcard like this, which is definitely my favorite. But, you know, a lot of times postcard will have more properties. Not a lot of times. Sometimes this, dot map return statement will have more properties. So we'll have to, move it down. But yeah, postcard is now extracted out. We provided a key. We're giving it a post. Yeah, now we have actually, see, we're not getting yelled at anymore. Now, let's see. Trying to think here. We have text. What else do we have? We have user, which is going to be an ID, right? We don't want to show user. We want to show their name. What I'm going to do first, though, is doing props.post.user is no fun. What we should do, what I do instead, is I do something called deconstructing the properties, so that I can do post.user instead of props.post.user. Right? It's the same thing. We reordered it, so you saw that flip there. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. I mean, we can even take it further and deconstruct again. So that's, user is not it. We do have user. We do have text. All right, so we could do this as well. But yeah, we won't do that. We'll keep it one level up. One level up for now. But yeah, we don't want the user. We don't want the user ID. We want their name. So what we're going to do is grab the user. So const user info equals users dot find user.id is equal to post.user. So users is a list. We're going to loop through that list and find the user within this list that has the ID that we're looking for. Right? Post.user is an ID. It's a foreign key that points to the primary key of user. Primary key of user is ID. So we're just trying to find the user for this post. And we can see that, TypeScript is great because it gives us this info. We can see that the type of user info, this constant, is now user or undefined, right? Because we could try and find, but it might not exist. So if it doesn't exist, then we would get yelled at. Or we would get yelled at. We might get yelled at if we use it, but yeah, we'll have to handle the undefined value for sure. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is console.log the user info, and we can see that we are retrieving the user for each of these posts. Now let's say I do user.id equals to this. We can see that it's now undefined. So yeah. And this is, we're doing this because of our current fake data setup. This would be a little bit different when it comes time to, expanding this this out. So we got user info here. Sweet. So now what we can do is, instead of doing post.user, we can do what we had before on profile, which is this. Not my user. We can do user info dot first name. Now we're getting yelled at. We're getting yelled at here, but we're not. It's not breaking because what it's saying is that user info is possibly undefined, right? So again, we can search for the user, but we might not retrieve one. So if I do this, now we're getting yelled at because it's saying, remember before, when we first were using this component here, we were doing props.post.user, but we were never passing a property here. Like it was just like this. We're getting yelled at for that same exact reason here, because user info is undefined, and we're trying to grab the dot first name property of something that does not exist. So Expo Go, let me pull that back up. So it's still going to yell at us. So what we got to do is do either one of two things. One is this question mark. This question mark signals that what it is the object you're trying to use might not exist. And if it doesn't exist, then don't do anything. So yeah, that's pretty much that. So I'm going to put this back to here. Post.user, and I'll typically we might do some defaults in that case, but I think for this use case we don't need to. Sweet. So what I want to do here is put a profile photo inside of here just to match what we got here. So same thing, view, styles dot photo. Go down here, do photo. Let's see, how does Twitter do it? Sweet. A height is 40. That looks good. But now we can see it's cutting everything off, right? So we need flex direction again. Now we don't want to do flex direction row on the container, right? Because that puts the post text to the right of the name, right? So we don't want to do that. So much like on the profile, we're doing these columns. We're going to need the same thing for the most part. So we can. So what we should do is we're just going to treat the photo as if it's a column. And we're going to wrap this first, this name and this text inside of a view. So what that's going to do is now we have the container being flex direction row. So any children of the container are going to now be in a row. So the children of the container are two values, two components. This one here and this one here. It doesn't care about the children. Container is not in charge of this view's children. This view is. So we'll see that it does what we want it to do, which is it puts these two columns, these two siblings in a row, and then here the default takes over, which is put these texts one after another. Right, so let me go ahead and do styles dot main. I'll just do main, that's fine. I'll do content. I'll do background color red. There we go. So we can see that it doesn't stretch the full width of the screen. So we got photo here. I think we should do the same thing. Photo container. So you see nothing's changed. Let's go here and we have photo container. One second. Oh, excuse me. So we got photo container, which is going to be the height, 100% of this orange rectangle. It's going to be 20% of the orange rectangle, which I think is a bit much. And then we're going to center the blue dot in the middle, right? So we don't need that much. Maybe 15%, I guess. I feel like for this case, we should do just a width. I think I'm gonna blow my nose here. Okay, that was good. So yeah, 15%. I don't know if we want to do a percentage here because it is with it. Now we're starting to get into like a smaller space. So I think we want to define the width instead. So the width, let's see, the width of the photo is 40. So what if we do the width as 50? And it's just going to always be that side. I think that's good. I think that's all we need. But now let's for the content, let's just take up the rest of the space, which again is with 100%. Now we could, that's not what we want. Oh yeah, we don't want 100%. We want 80. What are we doing up here? Okay, so this is an interesting scenario here. So 100% takes up more than the screen, right? Because the orange box is 100%. So what we need instead is flex 1. This is going to take up the rest of the space available to it, right? So it's not going to expand vertically because this red box, it's in a box of itself. It's in a little zone or environment of itself, which is this orange container. And this orange container has a predefined, like it has a specific height and a specific width, and it doesn't get bigger than that. So that means that the children, it can get bigger than that, but when using these these dynamic values, that's not necessarily the case. Excuse me. So flex 1, what it does is it just expands out. It expands the component that you're providing the flex to. It expands it out as much as possible vertically and horizontally. So yeah. So in this case, it takes over. So now you'll notice that we lost our border here. I think if we just remove this, we won't get yelled at. But the actual styles of this rectangle, it goes beyond our border, right? We can see that, but we're not getting yelled at here, which is fine. We could take this a step further and do border top right radius is 20, border bottom right radius is 20. What are we doing up here? Border, that's the photo, sorry. So we're 10 up here. And we can see now it lines up, and that's probably best. So yeah, we can just leave it at that. Sweet. So let's see here. So we got that post going. Twitter also does the username next to it, which is nice. So let's go ahead and do that. It'd be cool. So we have some text here. We have first name, username. Let's just add some padding to this. All right, so margin is, if I add margin to this, so I'm trying to think, I don't want to add margin to that. We got margin top here, so it's the space around me. Whereas with padding, it's going to be the space. I'll just show you. Padding 5. So the size, background color, red. So padding doesn't adjust the positioning of the red, but margin does. So if I do margin 5, we can see that the red is now shrunk because we're adding spacing around the red. Whereas with padding, we are adding spacing within the red, but around the contents of the red, right? The children of the red, which is the name and the text here.